Welcome to the Meeple Bunker, everyone. Today I'm starting a new series of videos called 3 to Try, or TCubed. It's a series of videos that will focus on 3 different board games, which are linked by a common theme. Today's theme is the 4th of July, or Independence Day. Today, the day of this recording, is Independence Day, July 4th in America, so I thought this would be a good way to kick off the series. So let's start with our first game, shall we? Which is 1775 Rebellion, the American Revolution. This is a beautifully produced game. It has great artwork. Everything looks like kind of watercolored work, or oil paintings, I guess. It is a card-driven combat game where you have cubes that represent your units, and you're pushing them across a map, which is basically the eastern seaboard of the United States in this game. This game is a follow-up to Academy Games' first game in this series, which was called 1812, The Invasion of Canada. So this one obviously takes place during the American Revolutionary War. And basically there's asymmetrical sides. One side basically represents the American side, the other side represents the British and their allies. You have Native Americans in this, you have German mercenaries, things like that. The French are also in this. So all the sides that were kind of committed to fighting in the American Revolution, and each side basically drives combat with cards. So you'd be pushing cards, or be pushing cubes across a map of the eastern seaboard of the United States and parts of Canada, and basically that's how that works. So it's kind of a combination between Ameritrash, because there's actually direct conflict, but it's more of a Euro in a way. It's not a traditional war game, let's put it that way, and it doesn't play in a really long, drawn-out sort of way. But again, beautifully produced. The components are top-notch. Academy Games just knocks it out of the park with this one. There's another game in this series coming up, which I forget exactly what it's based around, but be on the lookout for that one. 1775 Rebellion, the American Revolution, our first game in the 3 to Try Independence Day edition. Our next game in the 3 to Try for Independence Day is Fortress America, subtitled One Nation Under Siege. This is the reprint by Fantasy Flight Games. This game is from the 80s, and this game, unlike 1775, is Ameritrash through and through. This is dudes on a map, rolling dice for combat, asymmetrical powers in a way. In this game, one side represents America, and then if you're playing a 2-player game, one side represents all of America's enemies, or if you're playing a 4-player game, you have 3 different opponents playing all of America's enemies. You have basically a push from the east, you have a push from the south into America, and then you have a push from the west, basically representing, let's say, a kind of, very communist forces from the east, revolutionary forces from like South and Latin America from the south, and then obviously kind of a Eastern Asian, Eurasian bloc from the west, probably representing things like China back in the day. This, if you've ever seen the movie from the 80s called Red Dawn, not the horrible remake from the 2000s, but the original 80s movie of Red Dawn, this is Red Dawn in a box. Tons of plastic miniatures, really cool little sculpts. It is an 80s game, so combat is fiddly, it's a little creaky in spots. Fantasy Flight tried to kind of streamline things a little bit, I think. But again, this is an impressive game. You put this game out on the table, people are going to be coming by going, like, what is that game? You know, if they've never seen it before. There's a lot of units, a lot of stuff going on. Again, a little creaky, but definitely worth checking out. Fortress America, One Nation Under Siege, our second in our 3 to Try for Independence Day. Final game that I want you to check out, or I'd recommend, is called Rolling America. Now, it's called a Star-Spangled Dice game. This is by Game Right. It's kind of funny. This is not the original game. This is a retheme of a game called Rolling Japan. So what they did to retheme it was they basically take it and they took the map of Japan and they made it into a map of the United States. So what is Rolling America? Rolling America is basically a single-player multiplayer. It's a solo multiplayer game. Everybody can play together. Multiple people can play, but there's no interaction in this. I like to call it kind of a Minesweeper mixed with Sudoku kind of puzzly aspect. It's kind of a puzzle. You're rolling dice, you're taking those numbers, you're putting them in the spots. The spots represent states, basically. Certain numbers can't go next to each other, so you may end up blocking off areas where you can't record numbers. And then basically just high score wins. That's what you're trying to do, high score. So this is a good solo thing. Basically, the only components in here are some pencils, a pad of papers, which is basically just a pad of these maps, and then a handful of dice. So that's everything that's in here. It is a nice presentation. GameRite has one thing that I love, which is magnetic closure to all of its boxes. It has a nice pad in there, has a drawstring bag for the components. You can take it out of the box, take it with you in the bag if you want to. Again, Rolling America. It's a retheme of a game called Rolling Japan, but hey, why not? It's a smaller game than the other two. I thought I'd throw it in there as a, here's a good game with a theme that people might like, and you can basically play this solo, whereas in the other ones you really can't do that. Okay, everybody, I hope you liked the inaugural episode of 3 to Try. We will be back with more videos soon. And until then, everybody who's in America, happy Independence Day, happy 4th of July. To everybody else who is not in America, I hope you found 3 games that you might like to try. And until I see you next time, Meeple Bunker out.